Hi guys, and welcome back to Garage Gym Sessions. So today we're taking you through our top 5 tips for shoulder press. So number 1 is setup. So I've got this 20 kilo bar set up just below my shoulder height, so it's easy for me to approach. It's easy for me to lift, and it's easy for me to rack without any major problems. If the bar is too high or too low, that can affect other things linked to this. So number 2 is position of yourself and position of where the bar goes. So a basic setup would be feet shoulder width apart, toes facing forwards, and then having your knees slightly bent so you can produce and absorb force. If you're too straight or too high or too bent, too low, it's going to be very difficult to control the movement as well as possible. Okay, so the second position is the position of the bar. So if I'm doing an in front press, I'm going to want my grip to be slightly narrower than if I was doing a behind press. And I'm going to want my knuckles to be driven up through the roof and then drive my head through. If I'm doing a behind press, I want my grip to be very slightly wider, but everything else is the same. Knuckles drive up and drive my head through. So the position of the bar overhead is pretty much the same. It's just how you get there, which is a bit different. So things which often aren't done very well here are having floppy wrists, which puts a lot of strain on your wrists and can cause issues in your wrists, and your elbows and your shoulders. And that also makes you lean back more than you should. Same for behind the neck. If you've got floppy wrists, you're going to lose control and you're going to lose power, not being in the right position. So try not to let that happen. Make sure they're driving up and through, both in front and behind positions. Number 3 is angle, and that's angle of everything. So the angle of your lower body, the angle of your upper body, and the angle of the bar. So ultimately you want everything to move as vertically as possible, not too far forwards and not too far back. It's very common to see people using their spine to compensate for control when it really should come from your legs and your core. So for an in front press, the bar is going to come out and up slightly. And for a behind press, the bar is going to come back and up slightly. But try to keep everything from lower body, upper body and bar as vertical and as straight as possible to maintain as much control throughout the lift. So number 4 is form, which again is an amalgamation of all the other points we've gone through. But having good form doing this lift is really, really important. Particularly just to look after your wrists, your elbows, your shoulders, but probably mostly your back, all the way from the top of your spine to the bottom of your spine. If this isn't done with good form, it's going to load it incorrectly and potentially cause aches, pains, or possibly even injury. So it's really important to make sure your form is as correct as possible. So good form comes from adding points 1, 2 and 3 together. So having a good setup, a good position and a good angle is going to give you good form. So for an in front press, it should look something like this. And for a behind press, it should look something like this. So it's really important that you work to your own level of ability here. So if you're new to this, you want to make sure that you're lifting light weights, a higher volume at a lower intensity, and if you're more advanced to this, you want to do the opposite. You want to be lifting heavier weights to a lower volume at a higher intensity. But make sure that as soon as you start to feel your form break, or your position move, or your angle change, that you stop, rest, reset, and then go again when you're fresh. It's better to do a lower amount of good quality reps and a higher amount of bad quality reps. So number 5 is control. So if you have a good setup, a good position, a good angle, and good form, you're going to have good control. So if you do get fatigued and you do lose control, you can change your stance slightly. So from a lateral stance like this, you can go into a bit more of a split stance, bend your knees slightly more. And you can still get a good quality in front or behind press there. It just might make it a bit easier for you to balance when you're fatigued. But ultimately try and start off this way and go to this way if you need to. But obviously make sure you alternate sides so you're balanced and you don't rely on more than one than the other. Lastly, you do have the option to do reps from the rack, having a little bit longer in between. So I'll just give you a few demo reps of what I mean by that. So you can do those in short scoops like I've got, longer bars or even blocks if you have the option. That is another little tip which can help with control, especially if you're fatigued or your load is quite high. So there we have it guys, I hope you find those useful. Implement each one of those 5 points into this movement to see how you get on with it. Any questions or comments, drop below.